Dear Mr. Stone, you do not seem to realize that your actions are being monitored by academics, doctors and lawyers all over the world. When a PhD dissertation is finished, it is common to have more than 500 books and articles in the bibliography. Every reference is supplied with the name of the author, the address of the publisher and the date of publication. As far as can be discerned, the establishment of Ordinance 884 has been based upon a booklet that has no author, no name of publisher and no date of publication, and let us not forget the one random nameless Mormon. We assume that the Jehovah's Witnesses were too busy knocking on doors to provide you with assistance. We all know that every person has the right to live in their homes free from harassment and intimidation. And it may be that this ordinance reflects the current trend in legal terminology and theory on how to protect citizens from protesters. These things being said, the flow of logic that has led to the introduction of this ordinance in Riverside, California has been a shame and an embarrassment on the United States of America. The progression of thought that formulated this legislation has been erroneous in its very core. If it was written in an essay and submitted for examination, it would not pass the kindergarten level with chalk and easel. Mr. Stone, we realize that your job is difficult. It is not easy when there is a multi-billion-dollar cult living on your doorstep. But we would ask you to remember one important point before you make any political decisions. Marty Rathbun, Mike Rinder, Amy Scobie, Debbie Cook. What do these people have in common? They are all ex-Scientologists who had high positions in the organization. You see, today's Scientologist is tomorrow's ex-Scientologist, and ex-Scientologists have a habit of talking. If there are any untoward actions taking place in the making of ordinances, they will become public knowledge in due course and public servants may go to prison. Mr. Stone, you have slandered upright members of your community by tarring them as fascists and Jew haters based upon a valueless piece of literature. Even toilet paper bought in a store has an address written on it. We know where your toilet paper came from. It may be that you are being misrepresented on the internet, and therefore we urge you to step forward and make a clearer explanation about the decisions that have been made. Because if things continue in the current direction, it may be that your image has degraded so far as to expunge your political career.
I enlisted in the United States Marine Corps. I served one tour of duty in Vietnam. I was in the infantry and assigned as a scout to secure sites. My missions required that I kill a number of Vietnamese, including some at close range, some of whom died in my arms. I was plagued by nightmares and other disabling memories of my experiences as a front-line combat fighter. While I was in this unsettled state, I was recruited into Scientology. I became a member of the Sea organization. When Sea Org members are on a mission, they have full ethics powers to take whatever steps are necessary for the greater good of Scientology. In 1991 I had to prepare the base so that it could be defended against the possibility of being taken over by the authorities in a time of crisis. I was in charge of a project designing the base security system, the perimeter fence, the ultra-razor barriers, the lighting of the perimeter fence, the electronic monitors, the concealed microphones, the ground sensors, the motion sensors and hidden cameras which were installed and all over the area, even outside the base. Church monies were used to purchase semi-automatic assault rifles, pounds of gunpowder for the construction of various types of explosive. At church expense, I trained the security guards and other base personnel in the use of these weapons and explosives. I observed the Hubbard tech being deliberately misused to punish Scientologists who were out of favor with either Hubbard or Miscavige. I received orders to misuse the Hubbard tech to create extreme mental and emotional distress. We used coercive mind control techniques of sleep deprivation, starvation, dehydration and denial of decent accommodations. I saw many people reduced to incoherent babbling, stripping off clothes, crawling around on the ground, banging heads, limbs and other body parts against furniture and walls, barking, losing all sense of one's identity and intense and persistent suicidal ideation. I participated in deliberately inflicting this process on others in Scientology. I saw John Colito go psychotic. In my presence, he shot his wife in the head. I received instructions to use the Hubbard tech of thought reform to drive Tom Ashworth crazy and to commit suicide. Tom attempted suicide at various times while I was stationed at the Gold Base near Hemet. We watched persons who were suspected of being disaffected with Scientology and Miss Cavage closely. We were required to confirm that the suspects were under surveillance to our seniors regularly. We also had an armed lookout, codenamed Eagle. When Miss Cavage wanted to give the persons working at Hemet the impression that they were not being watched and to test out his theories as to who was likely to leave their posts, we would be withdrawn from view and our surveillance responsibilities turned over to Eagle. If it was determined that a disaffected member was trying to leave, we were instructed to call in private investigators who had been retained by Scientology lawyers to deal with these problems. We will be sent to places where the disaffected members were likely to go. Julie Fisher stated repeatedly that she did not want to remain at Gold Base. My instructions were to keep her on the base. Mark Fisher repeatedly told the leader, Miss Cavage and others that he did not want to be at the Hemet base. As Miss Cavage and others beat Mark in my presence, Mark kept saying that his attackers could beat him all they wanted but he still wanted to leave. Armed guards were stationed to prevent staffers from leaving their posts during the night.